Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Right, we're going to continue on with these class overviews for DragonAge Inquisition multiplayer. Second one we're going to do is the Templar. Now, I unlocked the Templar yesterday. I only got her up to level 9 so far, but the whole point of this this series is to go over the abilities so you guys can decide which ones you want to unlock, because unfortunately you can't view the abilities beforehand. So let's jump in. So the two trees are Divine and Sentinel. Divine is more of your damage tree, but more focused around damaging demons. It still buffs the damage that you do to everything else, but buffs the damage you do to demons more so than what it does to everything else. And then the Sentinel tree is your tanky tree. Obviously the one that generates you guard, the one that gives you taunt, stuff like that. So let's go over the Divine tree first. As you can see, I haven't taken anything in this tree just yet. I got the Blessed Blades, which you get from the beginning with the Templar class, which the description reads: you rally all of your nearby allies to fight with greater strength, especially when facing demons. You get a 15% damage bonus, a 24-second duration, 24-second cooldown time, and it costs 10 stamina. Now, that 15% bonus, I'm not entirely sure whether that's the maximum it does, so you only get 15% when you fight demons, or whether you get 15% flat on everything, and maybe just a slight increase on demons. There's nothing there that actually tells you if the 15% damage bonus is only when facing demons, and maybe you get a 10% damage bonus against everything else. I'm not entirely sure. But the thing with this is it puts a circle on the floor, and so far as I can see, that your allies need to be actually within that circle to actually gain the damage buff. It stays on you for a little while as you while you go outside of it, but not for very long. Particularly good against the Demon Commander boss, because obviously you do a ton more damage to him. Now, I don't know about the rest of you guys if you've played a lot of the multiplayer, but the Demon Commander boss seems to be one of the hardest one. Then you have the commander guy, the guy with the sword, basically the warrior type guy. He seems to be the second, and then the easiest one is the mage lady, the fire mage lady. Forgive me, I can't remember the names of them. But yeah, Templar seems to be one of the classes to go with, to pretty much have in your group, especially when you get to Perilous, because fighting demons in Perilous can do an absolute ton of damage, and the more defenses you have against obviously the demons, then the better. So the next one after that, the upgraded version of Blessed Blades, is Lights in the Shadow. Attacking enemies while you're affected by Blessed Blades reduces the cooldown times of Spell Purge and Wrath of Heaven, which just does a 0.5 cooldown reduction. Now, I don't know whether that's a 0.5 second cooldown reduction for every enemy you hit. Again, they're not really worded terribly great, but that'll be something that you guys may have to test out yourself. Champion of the Just. Your righteous fervour inspires the entire party to fight harder against demons. So that's just against demons. So you get an additional 10% bonus damage against demons and an additional 3 strength there. Obviously, again, pretty much the tree that you want to take if you're having trouble with the demon levels. Shield Bash. Many foes think a shield is just for defense. You correct that mistake with a brutal slam that does bonus damage to an enemy's guard. Obviously requires a shield. You do 300% weapon damage. Bonus damage versus guard is 800%. So, I mean, that's pretty good. If an enemy, what you want to do really with that skill is reduce the guard as low as possible, and then hit them with the Shield Bash, because obviously the lower the guard is, you do that 800% damage, is going to transition over obviously into their health pool, rather than just doing it with, if they've got full guard, Shield Bashing them and just removing the guard. Cooldown time of 8 seconds, a cost of 35 stamina. Impact Detonator ability, use on an incapacitated foes for a combo. Now, I don't know what the impact detonator is. It's probably somewhere else in this tree. I haven't actually gone through this tree thoroughly just yet. As I say, I've only unlocked the Templar yesterday. Again, with this, when I said about bonus damage versus guard, now that may not... Again, it's something that you'd have to test yourself, or maybe I can update you a bit later on, but it may not actually tip over into the health. The 800% may just apply to the guard only, but I'd have to test that out, or you guys would have to test it out for yourselves and see and pick what works well for you. So this is just an overview of the skills and just to see what classes you'd like to maybe unlock first. Ring the bell. You now lunge forward with a shield bash. You now lunge forward with shield bash, and you do even greater damage to an enemy's guard. So an additional 400% damage to an enemy's guard. So that's a whole lot of damage to guard. That is. So again, something you'd have to test out whether it actually tips over into the health or not. Because if it does, that's a pretty decent skill to have. Payback strike. You recover from any disabled condition and lash out with a great blow against nearby enemies. If you've recently taken damage, you hit that much harder and stagger your foes. Requires a shield again. Does 200% weapon damage. Recently damaged threshold is 5 seconds. So obviously, if you've been damaged within 5 seconds, you get that additional bonus damage, which is another 200%. An 8-second cooldown and a cost of 35 stamina. Sweet Revenge. You do more damage with Payback Strike, and if you've recently taken damage, you also stun taunted enemies. So, and then an additional 200% bonus damage, and if the enemy's taunted, you stun them for 2 seconds. Pretty self-explanatory, that one. The Maker's Will. Your party's attacks have a chance to weaken their targets. Weaken chance of 5%, weaken duration of 6 seconds, and an additional 3 willpower when you unlock this passive. Weaken obviously pretty much does what it says on the tin, makes them more susceptible to damage. So that's pretty much to say, self-explanatory, that one. Valiant. The Templar's faith strengthens her mind and soul for protecting innocence and punishing demons. So you basically, all you get with that is an additional 5 willpower and an additional 4 constitution, which is pretty good. It seems pretty good to take that along with your tanking tree, maybe, because it gives you that slight edge of damage. Maybe just come down the tree and just pick that one up when you've got all your tanking moves in the tree that we're going to go over next. Next passive is Guard Smasher. You've learned how to batter through your enemy's defences, doing more damage to their guard with every hit. So you get another 100% bonus damage versus guard and an additional 3 strength. Now, again, whether the damage actually tips over from the guard into the health, it seems that you get an awful lot of bonus damage to guard here. So possibly not. It may end up being that it's only to the guard, and it will not tipple over into the health if you remove all the guard with the hit. And next passive is Mage Slayer. Anti-demon abilities will now also apply to mages and magical creatures, and you get an additional 3 willpower when it unlocks. So obviously, again, pretty self-explanatory. Makes this tree a lot more viable, I guess. Crippling blows. You know how to take the fight out of your foes. Your critical hits leave enemies weakened, so your damage reduction is 15%. A duration of 10 seconds, and the effect stacks. So again, an additional more damage reduction. Weakened. Again, I've completely misread what weakened actually means. The weakened is actually means that they hit you less, apparently, which is a bit of a strange, because there is skills that actually reduces the enemy's damage, but it doesn't say that it leaves them weakened at all, which is weird. Like some of the abilities in this in the game seem to be worded a bit strange, but I mean, I was under the assumption, and from what I've seen, that the weakened status actually causes them to take more damage rather than actually lower their attack speed. It may do both. It may do both. There is no darkness. Your faith is your protection against the elements, and not for you alone. The entire party gains increased resistance to fire, ice, electric, and spirit damage, so you get an additional 10% resistance to all of those elements, and an additional 3 willpower when you unlock this passive. Pretty good one. Pretty good for tanking again. Like some of these passives are really good for coming into if you are going the tanking route with the Templar. Horn of Valor. Your Warhorn's blast rings across the battlefield, giving allies the strength to fight harder. So pretty much a flat buff to all your other party members, and an additional 15% damage bonus, a 15% armor bonus for 10 seconds with an 18-second cooldown and 35 stamina cost. Again, pretty self-explanatory again. The upgrade to that is that's the Spirit. Your Horn's Blast calls your allies to even greater glory, so that just increases the damage bonus from 15% to 35%. So, the Spell Purge. Through faith and will, you dispel all hostile magic from the area around you. So your area of effect is within 5 meters. The cooldown time is 24 seconds. Cost of 35 stamina. Eldritch Detonator ability, use on incapacitated enemies for a combo. Again, combo. What does the combo do? Doesn't actually say what the combo does. But again, something you have to test out for yourself. Spell Shatter. Spell Purge now deals massive area damage when dispelling barriers and other beneficial effects on enemies. So 600% weapon damage there. The only trouble is with this spell is sometimes it's difficult to see if an enemy's got a beneficial effect on them, unless it's actually a barrier or something like that, which you can physically see. Like some of the effects, like when they get powered up by the bigger guys, you can't actually see if they have been powered up or not, unless you actually see the guy powering him up at the time and he just runs after you. Then obviously you can, but it's slightly difficult unless you've got somebody in the unless you've got somebody dead all the time, because when you're the ghost, you can actually right click on the enemy and see what status effects they've got on them, but you don't seem to be able to do that while you're alive. Bear mauls the wolves. Using techniques perfected by Orlisane, cavaliers, words. You can't be flanked by enemies, and you're less likely to be staggered when hit from the front. So pretty good again for tanking. I mean, there are some skills in this tree that are great for tanking. Constitution on unlocking an additional +3 Constitution there. Deep Reserves. You get your breath back faster than most. When your stamina is very low, it regenerates more quickly. So again, pretty much self-explanatory there. A low stamina threshold of 50%, stamina regeneration rate bonus of 50%, an additional 3 strength on unlock. Pretty much exactly the same as the Hunter Deep Reserves perk, except you get I think do you get Constitution, I think, with the Hunter one? I think you may do, or Dexterity or something like that, instead of Strength. The Flow of Battle. Every critical hit reduces the cooldown times on your abilities, giving you the edge to finish off your enemy. So an additional cooldown reduction of 1 second per critical hit you get, and an additional 3 strength there. Again, I think that's something to take if you're going the damage route, obviously, because if you're tanking and you're constantly trying to build up guard, you're not going to be getting that many critical hits, so it's not going to be all that worthwhile. The Last Sacrifice. Even should you fall, you give your allies the strength to fight on harder in your name. So a health amount is 100%, damage bonus is 50%, duration is 10 seconds, cooldown time is 60 seconds, constitution on unlock is +3. This is a good skill to have, because if you die, say on the last boss, and your Templar, say two of your guys have gone down, you've got a Templar left and another character. If your Templar then dies, it will bring the other 2 guys back to life again. If they're in the down state, it'll bring them back with 100% health and a 50% damage bonus for 10 seconds. Obviously, it's got a 60-second cooldown on it, so you may want to try and get your Templar up again as quick as possible, so that she can start that cooldown timer ticking around, and you can hopefully, if you do end up going down again, hopefully the Templar can revive you again. Wrath of Heaven. You summon a blinding pillar of light that stuns nearby enemies and damages demons, so you get the 400% weapon damage against demons, an area effect of 4 meters, a stun duration is 4 seconds, cooldown time of 24 seconds, and a cost of 65 stamina. Again, this tree is much more for fighting demons than anything else. But obviously, if you take this skill here along with the Mage Slayer here, then obviously that damage is going to apply to mages and magical creatures as well, which is quite nice. And the Embrace the Light. Wrath of Heaven does even more damage to demons and leaves enemies stunned longer, so you get a 300% damage bonus to that in addition to your 400, and a stun duration bonus of 2 seconds. So you get a 6-second stun duration bonus and a 700% weapon damage, which is nice. It's a really good ability. It's one of the better ones I've seen at the bottom of the trees, put it that way, so far. Okay, so that's the Divine tree. Let's move on over to the Sentinel tree. This is the one that I've been speccing into the most, as you can see. So the ability in this tree that you start off with is Shield Wall, which basically you just stand there with your shield up, and for every enemy that hits you, you gain guard 4, which is pretty nice for gaining guard, but not the best skill in the tree for doing so, as you'll see a bit later on. Especially if you've got multiple enemies around you, the shield wall can be more of a hindrance than a help, because you'll have your shield wall up and then somebody may hit you from behind, or you'll get hit by a big attack that's designed to break the shield wall, and you'll get mullered by archers after that. But unfortunately you start with this one, so it's one of your best ones to begin with anyway, to gain your guard up. And the upgrade to that is Cavalier's Step. When you use Shield Wall, your movement speed is not slowed as much. You also protect nearby allies, giving them improved armor. Again, pretty much imperative that you take that. If you're going to be using Shield Wall and you're going to go the tanky route, if you're going to keep the shield up all the time, obviously you're protecting your allies as well as yourself, which, if you're a tank, you want to be protecting your allies as much as possible. So it's got a 4 meter range, and they get a 30% armor bonus from that, which is pretty nice. So long as you're in a room where you can actually talk to people and tell them to stay close to you, pretty much. The Bulwark, or Bulwark. You stand all the stronger to finish the fight, gaining the bonus to your maximum guard. So you get an additional 25% maximum guard bonus and an additional 3 Constitution on unlock. Pretty much self-explanatory again. 25% extra guard. Turn the Bolt. Your expertise with a shield protects you against ranged attacks from the front. So you get a 50% damage reduction against ranged attacks and an additional 3 Constitution on unlock. Pretty much, whether you're going damage or whether you're going tanking, you want to take this ability, because damn those archers, man. Those archers could literally, if you've got 3 or 4 of them on you and they all fire at you at the same time, you're pretty much down. You've got no chance of running away. Pretty much imperative whether you say you go in damage or tanking to take Turn the Bolt, because that 50% damage reduction could pretty much save your life more times than you would care to admit. Thrust of Steel. You know how to make the most of your equipment, gaining the bonus to armor when you have active guard. So you get an additional 20% armor bonus when you have guard, obviously, which means you take less damage to that guard, so it lasts longer. Constitution on unlock, you get an additional +3 for that. So basically, take this skill as, rather than an additional armor bonus, take it as that you take less damage, basically. So your guard stays up longer. Take it as, like, it's more or less this, very similar to the Bulwark ability, where it basically just gives you more guard. Okay, and combat roll. You dive and roll to where the battle needs you to be, whether it's escaping from a group or moving to flank an opponent. Cooldown time of 2 seconds, cost of 20 stamina. I can't see this being a tank, to be honest. I don't see this being extremely viable, especially because it takes up one of your ability slots and you only have 4. I don't see this being extremely viable. The only reason that you would even want to come this way is to get to the passive that's next to it, which we'll go over in a moment. The upgraded of that is you can now use combat roll to recover from most disabling conditions, which, again, not not that great of an upgrade to deem it worthy of a slot on your bar. The passive is Untouchable Defense. They can't kill what they can't hit. You gain a bonus to your maximum guard. Again, an additional 25% guard increase and a +3 to your Constitution. So along with Untouchable Defense and your Bulwark, you get an additional 50% guard there. So pretty much like I said, the only reason you would want to even consider going this way is to get to Untouchable Defenses. Oh. Okay, challenge, which is, by the looks of it, the only taunt that the Templar actually has. Your powerful shout carries across the battlefield, taunting a targeted enemy and improving your guard. So it's an 8-second taunt. You get a 10% guard amount, a 16-second cooldown time, costs 20 stamina, and you get a short description there of what guard actually does, which seems to be the only skill that actually describes what giving you something actually does. I wish all the skills were laid out like this, where you get a little blurb at the bottom to tell you exactly what the stuff does when you get it. Obviously they decided not to. The guy that made this skill, give him props, because he knew what he was doing. The upgrade to that is Throw the Gauntlet. Successfully hitting a target with challenge gets your blood pumping Templar, increasing your stamina regeneration. So you get a bonus regeneration of 15 stamina per second. I'm assuming that lasts as long as the taunt, so you get 8 seconds. So you pretty much can refill your entire stamina pool from one taunt. Cutting Words. Your party does more damage to taunted targets as you rattle your enemy's nerves and goad them into mistakes that leave them open. So all your allies get an additional 20% damage bonus to a taunted target, and you get an additional 3 strength. Again, not really the best passive, considering it's only a single target taunt. If it was a multiple taunt where you could literally grab everybody, then it would probably be worth having. But there's pretty much a bunch of people that can do massive amounts of AoE damage anyway, that this probably wouldn't make huge amounts of difference to you. Again, this is all based on the 3 maps that are out at the moment and the 3 difficulty levels. If they decide to bring out any more that's slightly more challenging, maybe people that are slightly immune to AoE damage, maybe they spread out a little bit more, maybe then this will be worth taking. But for the moment, I don't see the need to take Cutting Words, to be honest. Turn the Blades. Any blow you can see, you can turn aside. All damage coming from the front is reduced. So you get an additional 20% damage resistance and a constitution of +3 when you unlock this passive. Again, it's a nice passive to have if you're going down the tanky route. Unfortunately, it's a passive that you have to take if you want to get any lower than this, as the same with anything else that's in the middle row, or the middle column. But again, pretty nice to have, even if you are going down the damage route. An additional 20% resistance to damage is nice in any book. Resilience. You don't flinch, don't blink, and don't back down. Enemies that hit you with melee attacks are staggered by recoil, so you get a 5% stun chance and a 2-second stun duration and a +3 constitution on unlock. Again, I don't see this worth a point, to be honest. There's plenty more stuff out there which deserves points more so than this. But again, take it with a pinch of salt, because they could very well bring out a lot more levels and difficulties that require like a whole bunch more stuns and CCs and stuff like that to actually beat. Adamant. You trained hard and you know how to make the most of whatever armor you're wearing. So again, another additional 20% armor bonus and a constitution of +3. Again, tanky route, more armor. Just take as much damage as you can while holding everybody at you, so the other guys can actually do the damage to kill the stuff. I see this more or less as, rather than an armor bonus, I see these kind of things as either reduce damage taken, or reduce the amount of damage that the enemy does to you. It's a bit weird. It's like they could really just say to it, like, okay, you reduce the amount of damage you take by this certain amount, but I guess it all depends on your armor again. But in multiplayer, like, because armor is all craftable and it's not, you can't actually like find like multiple different pieces of armor within chests and stuff like that. I don't see it's I wish they'd have put in a system where you could actually find armor and everything like that. More, just a bit more like customizable, like the single player is. But we'll see. Maybe they'll put that in the future. Biggest threat. You make yourself the biggest target on the battlefield. The warrior no enemy can ignore, so you get an increased threat of 25%, an additional 3 constitution. Now, this again acts like a taunt, but it's a 25% chance to taunt enemies without doing anything. So basically, the enemies are more likely to attack you than anybody else. If you're the person that runs in first before anybody starts shooting, then chances are all them enemies are going to be wailing on you before they even bother with anybody else. Lying in the sand, you call upon the legacy of the greatest champions in history, defying enemies as you hold your position. This stops enemies from moving past and enables you to block choke points. It's a 6 meter in size, a duration of 12 seconds, cooldown time of 20 seconds, and a 35 stamina cost. This is one of the skills that I am going to pick up because I've seen it used and it looks amazing. If you can get, especially boss rooms and stuff like that, if you can choke them at the door, obviously it's a lot easier for your guys to do the damage to them that they need to do to actually get the guys down. And with a 20-second cooldown time, it's pretty much spammable. If I say spammable, you wait an additional 8 seconds after the duration of the line in the sand is finished before you can cast it again, but it's a nice skill to have. I've seen it used and it seems to work really well. And no further, your protected area increases, making it even harder for enemies to pass by, so you get an increased size bonus of 3 meters. So instead of 6, it's obviously a 9 meters, so you can block off a wider area. Pretty self-explanatory again. Unbowed or unbowed. You focus your defensive training, gaining guard for each enemy nearby. Now this, once you can get down to here, I see if you're running into a whole group of enemies, that this may be the better option to have rather than your shield wall, because again, like I said, if you're going into a whole bunch of enemies, there's a massive chance that you're not going to be able to get up the guard that you need in order to survive if your shield wall drops. Whereas with Unbowed, once you've got your biggest threat anyway, you run in and get everybody to attack you, pop that, and you've pretty much got full guard. So pretty useful. Still standing. Unbowed further improves your guard for each nearby enemy, giving you the strength to stay on your feet. So you get an additional 100% guard generation bonus, so I guess it's 20% guard per enemy rather than 10%. I don't know why they just didn't put that, but unless it's guard generation generated from anywhere, so maybe the shield wall would give you an extra 100% as well. Bodyguard. You accept blows meant for allies, taking a portion of the damage, so you get a 50% damage transfer from any of your allies. The duration is 15 seconds, so any damage you take within that 15 seconds, or any damage that your allies take within that 15 seconds, half of it's going to be transferred to you. It's got a 24-second cooldown, costs 35 stamina. Again, pretty nice to have as the tanky character, because if you see one of your squishies getting hit, you can just pop this and take a majority of the damage away from him. You ignore part of the damage transferred from party members, so you get an additional 50% resistance off the damage. So it's basically down to they take 50% and you take 25%, and the other 25% just gets negated. Unyielding. An attack that would bring you down instead leaves you with a small amount of health, and you're immune to all damage for a short time. So your invulnerability duration is 5 seconds, your health threshold is 5%, cooldown time of 60 seconds, and it gives you an additional 3 constitution when you unlock. Again, the Templar tree seems to have some pretty interesting end abilities. I mean, that's a passive, so it doesn't take up an ability slot, which is great. But I mean, that seems like again a pretty decent skill to have as a tank. If you're about to die, you don't die, and you get chance for your keeper or something like that to put a barrier on you, so you get chance to build your guard back up again, so you don't actually die again. Maybe you get the chance to have that 60-second cooldown timer reset back to 0, so if you do end up falling again, you can just get back up again and rinse and repeat. So yeah, the tanking tree seems pretty solid for the Templar, to be honest, and I've played a little bit of her, and I'm enjoying her. She's really good, so much so that I've decided in my single player playthrough, where I'm playing as a two-handed dwarf warrior at the moment, that I may end up going back and restarting the story. I haven't played it all that much, only cut 2 or 3, maybe 4 hours worth of story play. I want to save it till over Christmas because there's not really all that many games coming out, so I thought I've got 2 weeks off over Christmas. Having something like DragonAge to play so I don't get bored with that 2 weeks off is something that I'm probably going to do. But yeah, a Templar style build seems to be the way that I'm probably going to go with a single player, and just get rid of my two-handed dwarf altogether. So yeah, that was an overview of the Templar. This is the first lot of blue armor she gets. I'm going to start doing this at the end of the thing, is just show you the armor. I've unlocked all of the armors for the hunter, but I'll show you that in another video. I'll put a short video up just showing the armors for the hunter. So this is what she looks like. Obviously the shield is completely separate in the axe, but if we go into the inventory, we go to armor. See, that's what she originally looks like. No helmet on, pretty much in rags, doesn't look like very heavy armor at all. And then your first blue upgrade that you can buy, or craft even, ends up making her look like that, which is pretty snazzy, if I do say so myself. I've got a whole bunch of armors to show you when I get through it. I've unlocked every single one of the veteran hunter's jackets, so I can show you those in another video, short video, just because you can't see what they look like before you actually craft them, so it would be nice to actually be able to see what they look like, so you can actually go, oh well, yeah, I'll create that one, or I'll create that one, or I'll create that one. As it stands, all these are just like slight recolors. Like the chaser is a light version, the tracker is slightly darker, and then the stalker is slightly darker still. So there's not a major difference between them, but obviously people have their own preferences and how they want to look. So we shall do that in other videos, and we'll do it at the end of each following class overview that we do. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it informative, and I hope it helped you make a decision on whether you want to pick the Templar as one of your classes to unlock in DragonAge Inquisition multiplayer. I shall see you guys next time. Bye-bye.